Sunday morning. I think this is one of the perfect ways to start the week out in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to start talking about culture. It is 7:30 on the ticker. If you have somewhere to be at 8 o'clock, you have 30 minutes and counting down in which to get there. All right. If you want to hit us up at any time, 4301043. That is the WhatsApp number. You can send us a nice, clean, to the point voice note, please. And thank you. A nice little message. Or you can call us at 457-1043. All right, that's the number to call. And when you call us, make sure you speak up a little bit, all right? And clear and concise. Make sure the noise in the background. If you got to go into a cupboard and talk to us, just to get a little bit of silence, then go ahead and... What happened? It's true. You never went into the cupboard to talk to somebody on the phone?
No.
No? Where y'all from?
Like, where are you from?
To get a little privacy. You have to go into like a room or a cupboard and you close the door.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, same thing. It's the same thing. Okay. So right now we're going to be talking a bit about Garifuna.
Yes.
Sounds familiar?
Garifuna language.
I would really love to learn. I will admit that I do not know enough.
Same here.
Right? I will admit that. And with time, I will be learning more about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, more about our culture, more about where we came from with time. And I like when we have these discussions because it is part of the learning process for everybody involved. You know, for those who might have forgotten, you might have learned like when you were like this high in school. And after a while, because they do not really drill it or they do not remind you or recap, it's not a strict part of the curriculum like English or mathematics, then you tend to forget it.
And there's not much mention about it unless, or usually, it's usually mentioned like around Heroes Time, which is once a year. So I think like we need to enforce.
Yeah, it needs to be like,
it,
all over,
let it be something that we put out on a regular so that the younger generation can grasp it and get to understand our background, our roots. Because I don't want to use a quote that I heard, but I think it goes something like you have to know your past in order to see where your future is headed.
Yeah.
Something along that line.
Yeah. You have to know where you come from to know where you're going. Okay. Now, in all fairness, though, during National Heroes Day time, some schools, or if not all the schools, I could only tell you from what I've seen on Facebook, but schools would have programs for National Heroes Day, but it's more specific to like primary schools that I have seen on social media. And they would dress in the three colors, the black, white, and yellow, and they would do their little dances and do their little singing, and some people would be speaking in Garifuna and so on. I think sometimes there just might be a little fall off between that period and going into adulthood. I don't know if it's because of infiltration of foreign cultures that knocks our own culture, not even to the backseat, but just knocks it off completely. And then once you pass a particular age or a particular period in your life and you get older and you realize, wow, I don't know that much about my own country, then is when you start looking and trying to find out more.
But the thing is, there isn't really any structure or anything in place that really tells you about our culture. I think it goes far back as like all I remember learning in school was about the Amerindians, the Arawaks, and the Caribs. All I know, Joseph Chatier is our national hero.
And he was killed by a guy who was buried in the Anglican church, under the Anglican church. If you walk through...
I did not even know that.
Yeah. It came up a couple months ago because some people became upset that his remains were still in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but it is on church property and nothing we could do about that. It's actually under the carpet in the middle of the Anglican church cathedral.
Oh, wow.
You're not supposed to like go in and,
but all
it's
that
there.
to say, I'm glad that Carlos James, the Honorable Carlos James, yes,
it's not a
he
drill.
mentioned at the speech at the oblique in Dorsetshire Hill.
Yeah.
What do you what?
Go
Yeah,
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
yes, yes. He mentioned that. Okay, let me just quote what he mentioned.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Currently, our government is embarking on a project by four local historians to document our real story, the history of our country, and the struggle of our people. Our story must be told and must be told by us. It is my hope, keyword there, hope,
Hey,
that
quite
we can
negative.
see the introduction of the Garifuna language in our schools, and I'm hoping, keyword again, hoping we can begin work on this initiative in the not too distant future. I'm all down for us hoping,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like we've been hoping for 3 years now,
Three
because
years.
3 years. The reason
Why
why
three
I'm
years?
gonna go back to something that
Mm-hmm.
was published in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and
In.
I'm in
Mm-hmm,
2019,
mm-hmm.
and you're gonna make some comparisons in regards to the speech that was mentioned a while ago.
Okay, let's
So
compare.
the government, this was an article from the Searchlight newspaper
Uh-huh.
in 2019. The
Mm-hmm.
government has commissioned the writing of a textbook to assist with the teaching of history in secondary and post-secondary educational institutions in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Mm-hmm. Was it specific?
Wait.
Okay.
Yeah. Delivering at the University of the West Indies, UWI Open Campus, at the Independence Lecture, October the 24th, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalve announced that he was happy that a team of Vincentian historians had agreed to work on the book. He said Dr. Gary Michael Denny, Dr. Adrian Fraser, and Dr. Cleve Scott and Dr. Arnold Thomas will work together on comprehensive book with the government with the government's funding. The research, everything, the writing, the publication, so that we would have a standard text in the school so that we would be able to teach our history properly. This was 2019. I just want to know, where's the headway
How
in that?
far are you with that?
Yeah, how far are we in that book?
The fact that that does not ring a bell to me.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Nowhere, probably. But you know, sometimes things are happening behind the scenes, but they do not remind us. They don't tell us. They don't promote it. They don't say, hey, this is what's happening. Because I guess there's no fluff attached to it. Now, since 2001, right? Since 2001, Joseph Chartier was named the National Hero St. Vincent and Grenadines. Prior to that, we had nobody really and truly. Nobody. And since that time, he has been the sole national hero of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, you might probably get a little upset to think that, wait a minute, 1795 is when they tell us, because when it comes to history, I kind of look at it with a side eye, is when we learned, not when we learned, but is when they said that he died 1795. So at the time we gained independence and then different political parties were at the head, 2001 is when we finally say, all right, you know. So big up to the administration
Remember,
at the time.
some names were removed from the.
It's removed.
Yeah, some names were removed. Remember, usually around Independence time, we used to have Ife Joshua as a national hero, Lieutenant Cato,
I thought those were just like
first presidents, first.
Popular name.
Yeah, but they
not like popular names, but
they-
people who you just highlight,
Wait,
but
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
official national
I know,
heroes.
but they were mentioned before. They were usually on that roster during Heroes time.
Are you sure it wasn't possible names to
Subject
be
to-
named as
Okay.
national heroes? Because that's what I remember.
Okay.
Now, since 2001,
Subject to correction.
right? So since 2001 to now, and I'm gonna make reference to the speech that was made by the representative of the Garifuna community on March 14th, 2022, right? So she was just giving a brief history that it was a merging of African and the Carib nation, and Garifuna was born right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right? So the Right Honorable Joseph Chartier, our only national hero, he was Garifuna. She said that we will never get the full story of what really happened, fact, and she highlighted the fact that we have a problem with identity and a sense of who we are as a people and as a nation, what constitutes the soul of the nation. All right. Now, in order to get that sense of identity, we have to have a knowledge of where we came from, who we are, and what we are. What's our history? Learn from the past. And there are some issues that still challenge us today. Now, March 14th, 2022, she made some suggestions. I'm going to play that recording. I hope that it is loud enough for you guys to hear. Listen to the suggestions, right?
Of self-reliance when it became clear that travel and the sourcing of imported food were impacted by the volcanic eruption and by COVID-19. There is a dire need for teaching material which focus on the Garifuna heritage and culture in schools.
You get the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a dire need for teaching of Garifuna language and culture in schools. One. Okay, let's get the second one.
There is also an urgent need for an ongoing research program to engage our bright young minds in search of concrete information on their history and culture.
You get the second one? You got the second one?
Yeah, I got it.
So, research. Okay, let's get the third point. The third need.
There is a need for a museum which showcases all of the indigenous Vincentian historical, cultural, and anthropological experience. And last but not
You got the third one too, right? Okay, a museum. Check. Here's another one. Number 4. And it's 5, right? Number 4.
least, there is a need for a long-term training program to prepare Vincentian professionals in the fields of archaeology, anthropology, and museum sciences.
That's number 4. So there's a long-term plan in there, in the mix there. There's a long-term plan that would have beneficial, reap benefits to the entire country.
I think number 4 would complement 3 and
Number 3.
yeah, number 4.
Museum?
Guys, yeah.
Well,
It'll complement everybody.
right,
I think-
right. Everything works together.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And last but not least, here we go.
Finally, there is a need for a statue of our national hero, the Right Honorable Joseph Chatoyer, to be commissioned and erected in a prominent location to honor the contribution he made to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
5 things.
So they put in Chatoyer. So they put in Chatoyer as a no, they gave in Chatoyer his own
Exactly what he deserves.
yeah.
About time.
It's about time. Now, I could be a little bit negative right now.
So is it going to
Could
be
I?
exclusive to him alone?
Could I?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, not yet.
Is it going to be exclusive to him alone or other national heroes within the
I think because we only have the one, then
And
it
he's the first
right. It should be specific to him,
to him.
right?
I think everybody else could fall under a plaque.
plaque?
Plaque.
Yeah, like a plaque, a monument.
If you have a hall, the
they
people
are-
who are responsible for that, they will sit down and try to name some other national heroes,
Well,
right?
they are considering a museum, so it would be nice if that is an initiative towards
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, the museum would be
Mm.
So these are things that they're currently putting in place.
No,
These are
These
things that
are-
they want.
these are things that the
Yep.
Garifuna community are suggesting
Okay, then.
to the people and to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 5 different things they're suggesting.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you guys would remember. I know when PM was in here the last 2 times, the last 2 interviews when he was with us, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people focused on 2 main topics, one from each interview. But in one of those, this was highlighted. And I specifically remember mentioning, boss, Garifuna, we need a little statue of Joseph Chatoyer in Kingstown,
so question, right?
Hold a second on the question. Don't forget it, okay? Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Those are very great suggestions that the lady made that we need to push forward for the Garifuna people. But it's amazing that people in Belize, people in Yucatan, as a matter of fact, I'm planning to go to Yucatan in the
Mhm.
near future, the very, very near future, because Yucatan is a Garifuna island. And I want to indulge myself in the Garifuna culture. And those people know more about our Garifuna history than where the history was created. And I was also reading somewhere that Joseph Chatoyer is not the man's real name, man. Joseph is the
Yeah,
English
that's what
version,
I
and Chatoyer is actually a French name. And I'm trying to research and dig deep and see if that's true, the actual truth to that. And it makes sense, absolute sense to me, because the name Joseph is not a Garifuna name. That is a European name.
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't ever lose them language. But remember, when the people them come colonize us, they take away our spirituality, they take away our language, and they take away our diet. And they have we eating foolishness now. That's why we have all these lifestyle diseases. They gave us Christianity. That's why we go say, God will forgive me, so we could go and kill that boy. They take away our language. And they give us a bunch of
Max,
foolishness as far as
Satuye, you mean?
Sato, yeah?
no, I'm just saying indigenous people.
No,
Indigenous
the
people.
name, the name.
The name Chatoyer, I heard it. I read somewhere that that's a French name. It's not a Garifuna name.
Right.
The Chatoyer part, and
Okay.
the Joseph is the English part. But I'm trying to do some more research. The guy who usually do research with me, he's died. Wonoko Rashadi. He was on Hidden Colors. That's one of my mentors who helped me elevate my mind spiritually.
Mm.
And he's the one that led me to Yucatan. Actually, he died last year.
Okay, well.
And even the guy Shine, who used to sing with Puff Daddy and them.
Mm-hmm.
He had an interview and said his grandmother was Garifuna, and he mentioned St. Vincent in that small interview he had there.
I remember that interview there, yeah.
Yeah. So
Shine.
our history is so vast, Jed, that when we hear about this, we have to get cold bumps on we skin and realize, boy, we come from a great people.
Yeah.
But then when the colonializers come now, they destroy everything, and I crystallize smile when you say you just watch history side eye. Because you have to watch history side eye, because guess what? If me and you fight, and me there, and you telling police what happen, guess what's going to happen? You ain't going to tell police that you interfere with me first.
You never
tell
share the
police,
truth.
Max come, you're going to tell you, history is always told by the ones that win, and the winners are not always truthful. You know what I'm saying? So we have to demand more from ourselves. Can't blame the government on this, because later we could go to any mountain and plant trees. When we go to mountain and we see these artifacts and stones, we need to take pictures of them and come back and talk to man like Age and Fraser and do certain things. But the money is supposed to be set aside for us to be able to push forth our thing, because look, the other day a man get catch with some St. Vincent artifact, and it was just given back to my boy Omari Williams in the embassy in Washington. This is big up Omari, Blazer Williams' son. Given back to him.
Yeah.
Because the man come and thief our thing.
In
You know what I'm saying?
1990s,
And
yeah? They work it up?
Yeah, exactly. Even when the airport was being built, I heard that some stuff was found when they were doing some excavation, and I think they take them and send them somewhere, not sure where they are. It's so much stuff we take for granted in St. Vincent, and we need to get back to our heritage, because a people without its history is like a tree without its root, and tree without its root, either dead or don't bear fruit. On the thing of all yourself, I hope all have a blessed week, Jed.
Same.
Vibes only.
Same to you. Thanks. Big up yourself, Max. All right. If you want to call us as well, 457-1043. We got about 5 more minutes on this set here before we switch things up a little bit. Some responses coming in on the WhatsApp. I think this one can play. Wait, you had a question. So go ahead with the question.
Okay, let me hold the question, right? But before, right, I want, right, before, oh, yeah, Max.
You asking Max question when Max long gone?
No, Max was saying that he trying to remember the name, but I looking at Wikipedia, right? This is from Wikipedia. He said Joseph Chatoyer, also known as Satuye. So I don't know if that was what
he was
Max
about.
was referring to.
Right?
Okay.
Remember, Wikipedia is not really a legitimate source.
No, well, I just
It's
that's it. It's before
not my favorite source.
Before saying it's from Wikipedia, and then if I say it legit, I will just say it from way.
Wikipedia running things now.
Anyways,
all right.
But sorry.
Yeah,
continue.
the only question now. So obviously, funding is going to be involved. So who's going to fund all them projects?
Well, most likely the government. But in order for us to know our culture, well, we have some historians here who was mentioned in 2019 who are going to make this textbook. Dr. Arnold Thomas, Dr. Adrian Fraser, as
He's good.
Max mentioned.
Mhm.
He writes an article in the newspaper, in one of the
That's a column.
newspapers. Yes. Dr. Cleve Scott and Gary Denny. These are the local historians.
Mhm.
So they should have a major say in how we go about putting together this initiative going forward. So I hope they're a part of the decision-making team, or they are a part of the team on a whole.
I trust that. I trust that. You see, since it has made headlines, Minister of Tourism has said it, Prime Minister has also mentioned it, right? That this is where we're moving towards. I trust that once you follow through, that is, that the outcome and the process will be done properly.
Mhm.
No, I can say, you know what? Let me play this voice on first. I had it on the burner for a bit.
Hi guys, good morning. In my early days working at Sandy Bay, traversing the roads and so on, there was this guy by the road and we will say hello or good morning to him, and he will respond by saying Mabrika. And a lot of persons within the area would have just referred to the area, say out at Mabrika. Further research led me to understand that Mabrika was simply a greeting, as we will say hello. That was the case. So the language was even lost back then. They did not even know that the man who was responding to people saying Mabrika was actually a Garifuna way of saying hello.
Wow.
Interesting, huh?
Very.
Interesting. I think it is really sad that outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and if the origin of Garifuna is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it's really sad that it is not
Highlighted here.
celebrated as it should be, as it is celebrated outside of SVG. I think that's a shame. And to think that it has taken 21 years for them to finally say, okay, you know what? This is what we need to do going forward. Could you quote exactly what Minister said, please? There's a word in there that I wanted to highlight.
Uh,
You read it earlier.
I'll read over the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Currently, our government is embarking on a project by 4 local historians
Uh-huh.
to document our real story, the history of our country, and the struggle of our people.
Uh-huh.
Our story must be told, and must be told by us. It is my hope
Mhm.
that we can see the introduction of the Garifuna language in our schools, and I'm hoping we can begin work on the initiative.
Stop right there. 2022. We've been talking about Garifuna for donkey years. And this is the point where we're at. It is my hope that we can see the introduction. Introduction means that it wasn't there before.
After mentioning 2 years ago, in 2019, that a textbook is currently being made, currently working along with the 4 historians that I mentioned earlier. Is there any headway on that?
It's a good move. It's a good look. Better late than never.
We're still hoping. We're still hoping.
Now we're going to move forward. Let me tell you why,
I
right?
think we have
Because
this hope mentality, but we're not doing action.
let me tell you something, right? If whatever is said and promised is not materialized, you will be reminded of it over and over and over again until you're fed up hear it. Until it becomes something that, oh boy, shocks. We really need to get this thing going.
It's something that could have been good if we had put the interest and the effort into it. So I just hope, considering all that is being said, that we really make a step towards making a difference with the Garifuna and getting a bit more grounded on our roots.
No, we
You know,
confirm.
get the proper, get the ball rolling. I mean, it's too much hoping, it's too much saying, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that.
Stop the doing and do.
Yeah,
I hope this
let's
is
get
not-
it done. Let's get it done. Because I would really like to go through that textbook. I think it would be a great, you get to know about your background, you know where you come from.
Mhm.
And it's so sad because I honestly do not know anything about my country. Other than yes, Joseph Chatier is the national hero of St. Vincent and Grenadines.
We also have to take it upon
And-
ourselves to research
Yeah,
as well.
But then where do you find it? Where do you find
Google.
right?
You
but
link up one of those historians.
as he just said, it's true. But how do you get in contact with them?
Last quick call before we take the break. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
History is a strange thing. Just the word itself, a play on the word, is
His
story.
Mhm.
And we know whose story is coming from, as somebody just alluded to the fact that who is telling the story, right? What we have to think about and realize is that as soon as we start digging into the Garifuna history, then we are going to be opening up things that a lot of us did not even know as to who we are and whose we are. I heard you say last call and a quick one. All I want to say concerning that is that if we go back to the scriptures, as in Deuteronomy 28 and the last verse 48, it has been changed recently because they have realized that a lot of history would have been revealed if persons start looking at the original text and see where it's coming from. All right, guys?
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if we might open up some avenues, and are we prepared for what we're going to find? Only time will tell. All right. Thank you for joining the live at Extreme 104 SVG. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to head to the top of the hour right here on the Wake Up Call. It's a Monday morning. Ooh, love the three colors that represent the Garifuna: yellow, white, and black.
It's another day